Yes, I was just going to explain to Mr. Holmes, Doctor. I've got a small pawnbroker's business at Coburg Square.
Oh, yes, that's near the city, isn't it?
Quite a lucrative line of business, I'd fancy.
No. It doesn't do much more than give me a living.
Oh.
I'd hardly have enough to cover the wages, except that my young assistant's willing to come for half pay, so as to learn the business.
And what is the name of this obliging youth?
Spaulding. Vincent Spaulding. Oh, he's first rate. Couldn't wish for better. Except there never was such a fella for photography.
Huh?
Yes, snapping away with his camera every minute he is, and then diving down into the cellar like a rabbit to develop his pictures.
Huh. Into the cellar? He's still with you, I take it?
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, it was young Spaulding who drew my attention to this advert, Doctor. He came into the office one day with that very paper in his hand.
I'll tell you what, Mr. Wilson. I just wish to the Lord that I was a red-headed man, the same way you are. Just look. Famous Red-Headed League. There's another vacancy.
Red-Headed League?
Yes, you've heard of it, of course.
Not a word. What is it?
Well, as far as I can reckon, the League was founded by one of them American millionaires, sir. An Hezekiah Hopkins, same as it says there. And he was mighty queer in his ways, they say. He was a redhead himself, do you see? And when he died, they found he'd left his fortune to providing jobs for men that was carrot-haired like he was.
Oh, there'll be millions applying. It's hardly worthwhile me trying.
Oh, go on and have a shot, sir. I would, honest. You might put yourself in the way of something good, Mr. Wilson. You never know till you try.
And so, that was the whole way of it, Mr. Holmes. Well, I went along that Monday, and I've never seen such a sight in all my life. There wasn't a man in all London with a red hair in his head that hadn't turned up at Pope's Court.
I dare say. The whole entrance from Fleet Street must have looked like a costermonger's orange barrow. Most entertaining, Mr. Wilson. Pray go on, Mr. Wilson.
Well, anyway, I got in at last to the office where Mr. Duncan Ross was sitting. Very plain it was, with a deal table and a couple of chairs. And this Mr. Ross was a little quick kind of man, and he had a head that was even redder than mine, if you'll believe it. And the minute he saw me, he was up like a shot. "Mr. Wilson," he cries.
Mr. Wilson. Heaven bless you, Mr. Wilson. It's marvellous. What a head. What a shade.
Well, I'm delighted, Mr. Ross.
One moment, though. You'll excuse me, will you, Mr. Wilson? Thank you. I just had to give it that one small tug to see that you were genuine. We've been tricked twice by wigs, Mr. Wilson, and once by paint. I could tell you tales of cobbler's wax that would disgust you with human nature. You're married, of course?
No, sir.
What? Oh, a pity. The fund was for the propagation of redheads, too, of course, besides their maintenance. Aye. Still, I think we could stretch a point for such a remarkable crop as yours. When could you take up your duties? The job's yours, of course, with such a shade.
Well, almost any time, I suppose. My assistant's very reliable in my shop business.
10 to 2 every day, Mr. Wilson, in this office. The pay, £4 a week.
And the work, Mr. Ross?
Purely nominal. The only condition is that you've to be in the office the whole time. If you leave it for even a minute, you forfeit your whole position forever. The will's very clear on that point.
Oh, I wouldn't dream of it, Mr. Rossi. Oh, it's only 4 hours a day after all. What is it that I have to do, though?
To copy out the Encyclopedia Britannica.
What?
Every word of it, from beginning to end, sir. There's the first volume on the table, and you must find your own pens and ink. We provide the table and chair, of course. You'll be ready to start tomorrow, then?
Well, if it's so very urgent...
It is. The work mustn't flag for a moment. I'll be here myself to start you off, but afterwards you simply carry on by yourself, except that I'll look in every Friday to pay you. Goodbye, Mr. Wilson. And let me congratulate you from my heart on the important position you've been lucky enough to obtain.
And I can tell you that I'll never forget the groan of disappointment that came up from those other copper knobs waiting out in Pope's Court when they heard the job was filled, Mr. Holmes.
It must have been heartbreaking. Well, what next? You turned up, Mr. Wilson.
To the dot. And there I sat, Mr. Holmes,